Personifying an item. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to take you through something really fun and creative. How I personified an item and turn it into a character design. We have probably seen this kind of thing before, where an artist takes an everyday object and transform it into a character. Well, in this video, I'm going to break down my entire process, share my thoughts, tips, and mistakes, and also explain what I learned along the way. For this project, I chose an umbrella, and it was actually more challenging than I expected because when you take an object and try to turn it into a character, you don't just want to slap some umbrella like features on a person and call it a day. You need to really capture the essence of the object, its function, its movement, and its personality. Why an umbrella? So, why did I choose an umbrella? Well, think about what an umbrella represents. Usually, when we think of umbrellas, we picture rainy days, grey skies, wet streets, and people huddling under them to stay dry. But at the same time, umbrellas are also used on sunny days, especially in the summer to block the heat. This contrast really stood out to me. I really like the idea of making a character that visually represents both rain and sunshine, a balance between gloomy and bright, and cold and warm. So I use that as a foundation for the design. When creating a character, the pose is super important. It helps define the personality, the movement, and even the physical traits of the object you are personifying. For this umbrella design, I didn't want the character to be fully standing or fully floating. Instead, I wanted to capture that in between feeling. Because umbrellas don't exactly stay still, they open, close, tilt with the wind, and sometimes even get flipped inside out when the weather is rough. So I sketch a pose that feels light and airy, almost like the character is being gently lifted by the wind but still has some weight keeping them grounded. I also made sure to angle the limbs in a way that makes the silhouette interesting and dynamic. A simple standing pose would have felt too stiff for an object like an umbrella. So I kept things a bit loose and flowy. The next thing I focused on was the expression. Since umbrellas are mainly used in rainy weather, I originally thought about making the character look a bit mysterious or calm, like someone who embraces the peaceful, moody vibe of the rain. But then I remembered, umbrellas are also used in summer, so I went in the opposite direction and gave the character a fun, bright and playful expression instead. This creates a nice contrast between the typical gloomy, rainy atmosphere and the more vibrant summer energy. That way, the character isn't tied to just one season, it represents both. Now let's talk about lighting and colors, because this was a part where I made some changes. At first, I was working with a cool purple background, which you can see here. The reason I started with purple was because I wanted to contrast against the character's warm tones and create a slightly more mystical vibe. But later I decided to switch to a light blue background instead, which you will see in later of this video, which will make the overall composition feel softer and more balanced. Plus, blue fits the umbrella theme a bit better. It connects to both the sky and rain, keeping things visually consistent. Sometimes small color changes like this can completely shift the mood of an illustration, so don't be afraid to experiment. For movement, I also gave the character floating hair to suggest a gentle breeze. This helps reinforce the idea that the character is light and airy, just like an umbrella. Since an umbrella is often affected by the wind, I wanted the character's hair to reflect that same movement. Instead of having the hair fall naturally downward, I made it sway and lift upward, almost like it's being carried by a gentle breeze. This helps reinforce the idea that the character is light, airy, and constantly in motion, just like an umbrella shifting with the wind. It also adds a touch of elegance and fantasy, making the character feel more dynamic and visually interesting. Without this effect, the design might have felt too static, but by letting the hair flow upwards, it naturally guides the viewer's eye through the illustration, creating a sense of movement even in a still image. Next, let's talk about the outfit and textures. One of the things I wanted to incorporate into the design was the glossy, waterproof feel of an actual umbrella. I experimented with making parts of the outfit shiny, but I didn't want to go overboard because too much shine would make the character look more like plastic rather than fabric. So I found a balance, adding soft reflections while keeping the material looking somewhat natural. Now here is a little tip. When it comes to composition, something I have noticed a lot of artists struggle with. If you are working on a full body illustration or concept art, don't zoom in too much too early. A lot of people get caught up in small details, but remember, most viewers won't zoom in to see every tiny texture and details. Instead, focus on making sure your drawing looks good from a normal viewing distance first. Once your drawing is about 80% complete, then start refining the details. This way, you won't get lost in unnecessary micro adjustments before the overall piece is solid. For the final touches, I added water effects to visually represent both rain and summer. This helped create a physical contrast within the illustration and reinforce the theme. Adding extra environmental details like this really helps to tie everything together and make the character feel more connected to the world around them. Overall, this illustration was a fun challenge for me. It was definitely a bit more complex than my usual work, and since I have been pushing myself outside my comfort zone, I don't feel 100% satisfied with the final result, but that's part of the learning process. I wanted to share my thought process with you guys so that you can see what worked, what didn't, and what I learned from it. If you found this video helpful or inspiring, drop a like and let me know in the comments. And if you would like me to break down other art concepts like color theory or lighting techniques, let me know. I would be happy to make a video on it. Also, if you are new here, consider subscribing. I post art content, tutorials and breakdowns. So if you are into that, you might enjoy sticking around. Thanks so much for watching and I will see you in the next one.